What's up, everyone? I'm GKB, aka The Governor. I am also joined today by my co-host of the Console Corner and the First Lady of Xbox, She-Wolf. Today on Gamers Knows Best, we will be reviewing and having a great discussion of one of my favorite comic characters, and that is Batman, a TellTale series. Will Batman be a great addition to the TellTale stables? Let's get into the video and find out. Real quick, if you're new to the channel, we do gaming videos, reviews, tech unboxings, and the sexiest damn podcast on Tuesday nights. If these topics interest you, I would definitely consider subscribing. Before we get into the review of Batman, this game was developed by TellTale Games, where you play as Batman. If you're a TellTale fan, you know these games are point-and-click adventures and quick-time events. This story dives more into the world of Bruce Wayne and how he balances the billionaire playboy by day and the crime-fighting vigilante at night. As with all TellTale games, this is a multi-part story, and this review only covers Episode 1. Alright, into our first topic, and that is the eye candy. Graphics are the first thing that you see before anything else. It's usually the initial thing that grabs you and pulls you into the game. So what do we think of the art style and overall look of Batman, the TellTale series? We're going to go ahead and start with She-Wolf on this one.
All right, so when it comes to the graphics, we all know that TellTales is no AAA title. But by all means, all the TellTale games all have this great likeness. They all seem to be done in this really great comic book come-to-life art style. And it always has this great dark tone and texture feels to each and every one of their characters. And that's the one thing I personally love, because I do love comic books and I love the styles. And when they're creating these characters, they bring them to life in that feature.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good point that you touched on. I was worried about like Batman becoming a TellTale game. I knew they would do a good story, but how are they going to translate that into their games? And She-Wolf touched on a really good thing there, that it looks like a comic book, and that's kind of what they went for, is like this whole comic book thing, and I think they pulled it off well. The Batman game in the TellTale series is also rocking a brand new upgraded engine from TellTale, and it really shows. The game looks really clear. The lighting looks awesome. From the get-go in the Batman, the character designs are great. The Batsuit looks freaking phenomenal. Catwoman is awesome. Even the mercenaries that you fight throughout the game really look cool. I really love the environments from the Batcave, Wayne Manor, the city. It's all nicely detailed. It really looks lived in. I love when Bruce Wayne's car transforms into the Batmobile. I think that was really cool. It looks great. The new update to the game engine is something TellTale needed for like some time. It's kind of, some of the things that they've been getting criticism for. It has made Batman a huge step above all the other TellTale games graphically. And I can't wait to see what they do next.
I have to agree with everything you said, from the environments to the characters themselves. TellTale really brought out these characters, and what they did with it, they kept it with the dark tones and what you would actually think when you watch Batman. It's almost like they took a TV series but brought it into a comic book life feel instead of just your standard cartoon that you would watch on everyday TV. And I give them a lot of credit for the work that they did with these.
I agree, and all right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic, the one that really matters most of all in video games, and that is the gameplay. Without the gameplay, you simply wouldn't have a game. And if the gameplay sucks, you definitely won't have fun playing it. So how do we like the gameplay of Batman? Now, for me, I've never been a big TellTale fan. QuickTime events and all that stuff is kind of like just watching an interactive movie for me. And I usually take a pass on them. I really don't play them that much. But I did enjoy this one. So I was really happy that they did a Batman game. I'm a huge fan of Batman, and I think it works. If you played any other TellTale game, you pretty much know how they are going to play. Though with Batman, they are able to do some new things like flying the drones and the detective mode, which is really awesome. but still at its core, it's quick time events, swipe left, right, A, B, X, Y, and all that kind of stuff. That's the core gameplay, even in this game. I want to dive into the detective mode of Batman a bit. We see this a lot in the comic books, and it's great when you go to the scene and he's analyzing all the evidence, he's piecing together what happened. He's using his bat suit there to like holographically reconfigure the scene and stuff like that. It's really cool. A lot of movies and TV shows and stuff really don't do that anymore with Batman. He's more of like just an action fighter type guy. But Batman is the world's greatest detective, and it's really cool that they do this in this game.
I definitely agree with you, and especially when, you have to link each thing to actually pull all these images together to recreate what happened in the scene. And if you don't match up the right ones, you actually have to go back and figure out which ones do go together. So in this style of game, it definitely gave you a little more option, because usually, like you said, this game is usually simple, it's easy. You choose what happens, it goes on to the next thing. It's like watching a TV show, but whatever you choose may change your outcome, or a different cutscene. And when they did Batman, they added definitely a lot more choices and options to how they played him, instead of just a standard walk around, choose one option and continue. And I hope that they actually do this with a lot more of their Telltale games, because of the fact that it was more interactive than normal.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the gameplay is really cool. They touch a lot of things that makes Batman Batman. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. So on to the last topic before we get into the verdict, and that is the story. Now, this is usually what keeps us engaged in this game, and especially in Telltale games, because they're very story driven. What did we think of Batman the Telltale series story? We're not going to do any spoilers or anything. We're just going to touch on this a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and let She-Wolf go ahead and dive into it first.
Well, without giving away any spoilers, if you were a Batman fan, I just want to point out that this is not your normal technical story that you would think Batman would be in. And the outcomes are truly different, and I love that they brought a different story to him, without just copying everybody else, where he goes, he lost his parents, oh boo-hoo, I want to save the world. No, they did a twist, and again, we're not doing any spoilers, so I'm not going to say how, but I love the story that they brought to this game, and how different Bruce is.
Yeah, like we said, we don't want to ruin the story for anyone, but it is a great story, one of the best I've seen in a while, and I pretty much read almost all the Batman comics. I love the twist. I love all the characters that are in the game. It goes back to some of the old school Batman, which is really cool to see. The pacing was great. Sometimes with QTE games, like the story gets a little dry and drawn out in some parts. But this one, they keep it nice and paced, and they mix it up. The slow parts of the story with action, and they go back and forth, and that's really great, and it keeps me engaged into these type of games. Because like I said, I usually get bored with these type of games. I'm a very action-oriented gamer, but I really did love the story in this one. Definitely need to check it out.
Completely agree, and truthfully, anybody who loves Batman, the way that they brought all the characters in with Catwoman and Falcone and all that, they tied everybody in perfectly.
I agree. All right, now on to what everyone's come to see. Is Batman a Telltale series a buy, a sale, or flush this turd down the toilet? But first, let's get into our pros and cons, starting off with the cons. I guess I'll go ahead and start with this one. I really only have one con for this game, and for me, it's always been this with all the Telltale games. It's the quick time events. I wish they would do like story-driven games, but I can control Batman. I think that would really, really be cool. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the QTE. I think this is better than the other ones, but still, it's still a con for me. What about you, Ashiwolf?
When it comes to Telltale, I expect this from them. I expect it to be like a TV show type thing that you're just, somewhat interacting. My one con, and it's something that I wish they kind of fix on all of them, is that the ending, your choices, I wish would actually give you alternate endings to give you more reason to actually go through and play it again instead of just everything kind of leading up to the same ending regardless of what you choose.
All right, so let's go on to the pros. For me, I'll go ahead and start again. Graphics are the best in the series to date. Everything looks great. The updates to the game engine worked out well. I really enjoyed the look of the game. This is a Telltale game, and the story is top notch. It's, again, a great story, and it's got Batman in it for sure. Number three, for $5 an episode, the value is great. $25 I think is what it's going to cost for all the episodes, so that adds just great value for gamers out there, like all Telltale series. So that's really good. I really love the addition of the detective mode in the Batman game. He is the world's greatest detective, and he needs to have that stuff in there. All right, so what about you, She-Wolf?
When it comes to my pros, I have to say it's definitely the comic book art style that they bring, and it's almost like you're seeing someone draw a picture and it just came to life. I love that. I also love, like you said, the detective work where they actually took Batman a little bit farther and gave you a little more interactive than normally in their games. So I love that aspect. I also love just the story. The story was amazing that they took something so great and changed it just a little to give you a different perspective of Batman, and I love that about it. So those are my three major pros.
All right, is this game a buy, a sale, or a flusher? I'm going to go ahead and let She-Wolf start on this one.
I have to say this is a buy, but it also comes down to personally, if you're one to not want to like have to wait for each episode, I would wait and actually buy the whole series at once for another price. But even for the $4.99 that it is, I would definitely buy it.
Yeah, for me, Telltale games always bring great story and value to all their games, and this one does not disappoint as well. With the new upgraded game engine and the graphics and the lighting to match, Batman, a Telltale series, has the governor's seal of approval and is a must-buy for me. Alright, that's it. This is GKB and She-Wolf. We hope you enjoyed this review / discussion of Batman, a Telltale series. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you toss a batarang at that like button. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And as always, take care of your fellow gamers.